here we are in front of the 6040 and 6060 FS hydraulic mining shovels. So Kent, let's talk about what the favorable conditions are for each of these two machines.
Well, as we're down here, you know, we talked before that we look at material fragmentation, face height, floor conditions and all that. For these two machines, our floor conditions can be pretty much the same, whether it's soft underfoot conditions or even a hard floor. The key here is that face height is pretty critical. We talk about hydraulic breakout force. We have pretty much the same with these two machines because we have that narrow bucket. The key here now is that when we look at the front shovel, the 6060 in the background, a good rule of thumb is that our bench height or our face height should be pretty much equal to the top of the boom or to the pin where the stick and the boom join together. The key for a backhoe is that we want the bench height to be roughly equivalent to stick length. So from the pin at the boom stick joint to the pin at the bucket, that should roughly be what we are for bench height. If we get too high, our angle of repose is going to push the truck away. We're going to have to reach for the truck and our cycle times are going to suffer. So both of these have a place, but a lot of the factors that we discussed earlier, again, as we talk about floor conditions, material fragmentation, both of these machines will perform fairly well in both of those environments.
All right, well, why don't we take a walk over by the wheel loaders?
Great.
All right, and here we are at the 994H wheel loader.
Yeah, so one of the first things that you'll notice is when we looked at the hydraulic mining shovels, you notice again that narrow bucket, which gives us that aggressive digging action. The wider bucket on this, again, is what makes it more of a loader. So it really requires that the material's blasted very well, and that's going to allow us to get those big bucket fills. Now, also one of the key things to remember is with any of our machines, as we talked earlier, bucket sizing is critical. So we want to make sure that the bucket size, whether it be width, volume, and everything else, is going to be designed for our material density to allow us to achieve those big loads. One of the things to remember about the wheel loader, and let's use the 994 as an example, there's 4 different arrangements for that. So let's say that we're using it on a mine that has possibly electric rope shovels or some of the larger hydraulic mining shovels. This machine can be a fantastic support machine in our mining operation. As our machines are down for scheduled maintenance, we can equip this loader with the proper arrangement to allow us to still load those large 793 Ultra Class trucks. So you can get a standard lift, which is ideal for loading 785s. You can get a high lift, which is going to allow you to load 789s, and with a well-trained operator 793s, and you can get the extended high lift, which is going to allow you to comfortably load the 793s, and then there's a super high lift, which is for coal loading only. So it's real important when we start equipping these machines, as we talk buckets and track pads, that those same principles apply to the wheel loader. We look at tires and what size tires do we want? What linkage do we want on the front? What bucket size do we want on it? And again, when we start looking at floor conditions, obviously the more firm the floor, the better that this machine is going to perform, because again, we have a higher PSI on rubber than we do on a track machine. And then face height is critical. Well blasted material as we discussed, but face height, we need to make sure we can control the top. So we always load from the bottom as long as the material continues to feed to us and it doesn't overhang, creating a safety issue. These machines will perform extremely well at a cost per ton that's very comparable to the hydraulic mining shovels.
Okay, well, let's finish up with the 7495 rope shovel.
Great.
All right, last but not least, here we are at the 7495 rope shovel.
Yeah, so I think the best way to walk through this one is just like we did the others. Let's talk about the parameters that are really going to help deliver the lowest cost per ton. So again, when we look at this machine, it will deliver the lowest cost per ton, but there's a lot of things that typically we see happen that'll make the machine less efficient and really in places make it the same cost per ton as our hydraulic mining machine. So one of the things that's key to this is an extremely good two-side loading, so you have a truck on the left side and the right side, where the hydraulic mining shovels do best with the truck on one side, the same as the wheel loader.
Okay.
If you're unable to do that, you need to make sure that we have what's called a modified drive-by. So again, we're reducing that truck exchange just as much as we can. For the hydraulic mining shovels and for the electric rope shovel, we want to have ground support. So we never want our loading tools to take time to clean up the floor. We want to take advantage of the fast maneuverability of a wheel dozer to come in and help keep the floor clean so that our loading tools can continue to load trucks. Now, we know that the wheel loader is designed to go to the floor to fill the bucket every time. The electric rope shovel's the same way, so you can see that the way we're setting here, those teeth are designed to penetrate the face, comb all the way up through the face, which is a little different than the hydraulic front shovel, which the geometry of the front structure will allow us to go in and actually take the material off the top, eliminating that hoist time and allowing us to be more productive. Bucket size, as we talked with the other machines, it's very important that we understand material density so that we match that up properly to the ultra class trucks when we start looking at this size of a machine. And the other thing that's critical is bench height. So we look at the shiv up on the top. That's really the ideal range that we want our bench heights to be. So as that bucket's combing through the face, the material's filling the bucket, getting us to that 100+% bucket fill factor every time.
And while we're here, why don't we touch on the trail cable and what that element brings to the electric rope shovel and really to an electric powered hydraulic mining shovel as well.
Right, and that's a great point because we talk about the advantage of the mobility of a wheel loader, and we are more mobile with our hydraulic diesel powered mining shovels than we are with a machine like this. So the key to this is good mine planning. We want to make sure that when we put off our blast, we have a lot of material in front of this machine. They're very hungry, they eat a lot of material, so we want to make sure that we're always staying ahead of the game so that when we put this thing to work every day, we have plenty of material for it to be loading out. Again, as you see with the power cable, we are pretty well strapped to the grid. So when we do make a move, you lose a lot of time making the move. So planning is really critical, again, to help keep down that lowest cost per ton with a machine like the electric rope shovel.
Yep, okay. Well, this concludes another edition of Meet the Pros. If you're looking for more information on the topic that we covered here today, go to mining.cat.com.